Anything for the court? Counsel? Okay, we'll see you at 1 p.m. Thank you.
All right. Let's go back. Can we roll that again? Can we roll that again? I think we missed the most important part. There we go. There's Gwyneth Paltrow on her way out and holding that up. And I understand you don't want your picture taken because there's also a still photographer in the courtroom. And I think Gwyneth was, there he is. You see the photographer there on the left, and she's got the blue paper covering her face, which is fascinating. I get it or I don't get it. But anyway, it's not in front of the jury, by the way. It's not in front of the jury. So this is just sort of, I guess, Gwyneth Paltrow versus one representative of the media who's at the trial. I want to bring in my guests. I want to talk about that moment and what it tells us a little bit. Joining us tonight in Nashville, Tennessee, legal commentator, former Los Angeles Deputy District Attorney, podcaster, and YouTube host of The Emily Show, Emily D. Baker is with us. Also joining us in Los Angeles, California, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert witness, and columnist of Inside the Criminal Mind, Dr. Carol Lieberman. And also in Los Angeles, California, senior reporter for thedailymail.com, Caitlin Becker. Caitlin, I'm going to start with you. Does she have, what's her relationship like with the rest of the media?
Gwyneth kind of toes a little bit of a different line as a lot of celebrities. She doesn't talk to the media a lot, but that's because her company, Goop, has kind of its own media brand. She has a podcast. She's constantly on social media. So she really dictates her own relationship with the media in that way, or with the public in that way, rather. She doesn't usually sit down with a lot of reporters unless it's about a Goop event. She doesn't usually get personal unless it's on her own podcast. So she really handles things on her own terms. This book in front of the face moment, I thought that struck me as very odd, especially considering the fact that it was televised today. I mean, we saw her on and off in court all day. Unless she's selling those leather-bound GP embossed books on Goop.com, I can't think of another reason for her to have done that.
Yeah, I think there was a little back and forth earlier in the day that may have involved that report, that photographer. But this is the photographer from the Associated Press who's going to provide pictures, all the still images of the entire trial. So he's going to be there every day doing that. Let me ask you, Emily Baker, your reaction to that moment, not in front of the jury again. So this has nothing to do with the jury.
Not in front of the jury, but you know, when she was introduced in court, when they were introducing the counsel and parties, she didn't stand up. So that was in front of the jury. And I found that moment, plus this blocking her face, to be very, very interesting. She is going to have to overcome her celebrity in this trial more so than the plaintiff, who's going to be able to say to the jury, I'm just like you. And that is something she needs to be very mindful of, and her counsel needs to be very mindful of.
Yeah, relatability is very important in trials, and in a credibility case, he said, she said, like Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, I think it comes down to likability. The jury down there, I think, liked Johnny Depp more than Amber Heard, for whatever reason, and that's the way that all kind of turned out. So this was, Carol Lieberman, your thoughts about this moment?
Well, I think consciously or unconsciously, she knows she's guilty, and she's hiding her face. She's ashamed for what she did. It's also interesting to see that she's wearing this off-white sweater. I think that was definitely on purpose. She was trying to seem, virginal, innocent, and cozy, relatable. You're a girl next door. She hardly any makeup, and so it's all she's being an actress. She's looking at everything that she does.
Well, let's take a listen. Go ahead, Caitlin.
I'm sorry. This is what Gwyneth looks like all the time. She really doesn't wear makeup. She only kind of dresses very sort of comfortable, low key. She doesn't really do red carpets anymore. The glam Hollywood look is not her. From based on everything I know about how Gwyneth is personally and professionally, this is par for the course.
Let's take a listen. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Carol Lieberman. I'll give you
I was just going to say, she sometimes does dress up, certainly for Hollywood events. And yes, I know her, there is some of that. I agree with what you're saying to some degree, but I think she definitely planned what she was wearing and planned how she looked and so on.
Let's take a listen to her attorney. No, this is the attorney for the other side. I'm sorry. Terry Sanderson's attorney, plaintiff's attorney in the case, describing Gwyneth Paltrow. And then I want to hear what you have to say about how she will be received by this jury, the persona of Gwyneth Paltrow in this case. Let's listen.
Gwyneth Paltrow has skied since she was 3 years old and considers herself an intermediate skier. Ms. Paltrow has skied about a half a dozen times at Deer Valley Ski Resort. She hires multiple ski instructors for her children, which allows them to skip the lines. The private instructors cost thousands of dollars per day. On the day of the collision, February 26, 2016, Ms. Paltrow is skiing at Deer Valley with 9 people, including her 2 children, her future husband, Brad Falchuk, his 2 children, and 4 Deer Valley private ski instructors.
All right, Emily, let me ask you, how does that play, do you think, in front of a Park City jury? 4 private instructors, does that make her look like some sort of elitist? Not likable, not relatable?
I suppose that it could. However, they also described a party where there are 2 different groups of children, and then there's the 2 adults with them, and they had a fairly large party. I don't think anyone is shocked that celebrities have handlers with them when they're in a public place like this, pay for passes at Disneyland to skip the line. I don't know if to a Park City jury, this is going to be out of the ordinary for them. Utah has so many elite ski resorts. This is kind of par for the course. And I don't know if skipping the line is really going to be the thing that strikes them the most. Can we get back to talking about the GoPro footage? Because
Go ahead, jump in it.
I think the GoPro footage is a more stunning revelation than a celebrity pays to skip the line at a ski resort with a party of 10, and finding out that there was an allusion to GoPro footage, and this might have been on film, and then it's gone, seems to be the big thing we took away from opening statements today. Oh, and that statement that the plaintiff was groaning? What was that, Vinny?
I don't know what the groaning was. I wasn't there. I'm waiting to hear Gwyneth. She may very well testify tomorrow, we're hearing. A possibility she could be called by the plaintiff tomorrow to talk about all of this. So, Caitlin, when we talk about Gwyneth Paltrow, and again, credibility case, she's going to testify. This jury will judge whether or not they believe her. In this case, is she someone that can come across as likable?
I love her. I'm a total Gwyneth and Goop apologist. I know it's not my finest moment, and I definitely can see her for who she is, which can be a little bit ridiculous at times. The likability and credibility I can find 2 different opinions of, because Gwyneth and Goop has touted some really troubling things over the years, from vagina steams to jade eggs to really restrictive diets. And if these are things that the jury is familiar with, these are things that may not endear them to someone like Gwyneth Paltrow. Her entire brand is aspirational. She is not an every woman, but I don't know if that's not someone she's trying to be. It's not someone she pretends to be. I think in this case, she's trying to show the jury that she was a mom out with her children. At the time, they were 9 and 11. They had skied instructors, and she was going down a very easy slope with a group of professionals watching what they were doing. And I think she's going to explain to the jury that had she have been skiing in a manner that was considered dangerous, she had 4 people paid to stare at her to say, hey, watch what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make, that it was really just a family outing. It was this new blended family that was coming together. I think it's a great theme for her and her child, because it's what that day really was all about. Caitlin Becker, Emily Baker, Emily D. Baker, Carol Lieberman, thank you all so much. We'll talk to you again really, really soon. In the meantime...